Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, Steve Tano,
Hmm.
and joining me this week are my two regular co-hosts, Asajj Ventimess and Sajan Opress. I'm the lone good guy facing down to what race are they? Come on, brain. I know this. Can't pull it up. But
The Dothamir.
they're from Dathomir. Or which interesting. I'll get to it later as we go through the season. But yeah, that's what we're doing this week. We're talking some Star Wars, the Clone Wars, season 3 to be specific. So I am someone who has never seen it. I've been a lifelong Star Wars fan, but I just never watched this show. I think I was busy raising kids and whatever when it was new on the air. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. John, you've seen it before. Nessie, you've seen it before?
No, this is
No.
for me too, Stephen. My kids were like in between, I guess, ages. My son didn't really watch Star Wars, but my daughter did, but she had not in the age group at that
Right.
time to watch it. So we didn't watch that. We watched SpongeBob instead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just saying.
and this was actually an interesting season for me because even though I believe I had seen the first, at least the first season on Blu-ray before season 3 came around, because I think I had bought it because it was new Star Wars stuff, and I was just eager to get anything Star Wars. So I remember I did buy the first season on Blu-ray, but season 3 is interesting because that was the season they were promoting when I went to Star Wars Celebration, in right before. So I remember seeing like them teasing the stuff like Savage Opress and the Night Sisters and everything, and there was a preview, and it's interesting because like at that point, this was the thing that they were like advertising for new Star Wars adventures. This was in that period between Revenge of the Sith and the Disney era. So, it was both like, the new thing that they could show off, but it was also very under the radar as well, because I don't think people had caught on to like how deep into the lore this show would go.
Yeah,
very much.
and that's something I've really appreciated about this season specifically. Like this season is almost a tale of two halves for me. Like,
yeah,
I'm talk about the first half some, but I'm going to talk about the second half a lot.
I have to say, like, I was going to say this is the tale of two seasons, and there's only one half of this season that has just a truly dynamic story, which of course is the love story between Cy Snoodles and Zero the Hutt.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! There were so many like Star Wars character drops in this season. It's like all the if you're a secondary, tertiary, whatever character, you're going to get a minute.
I forgot about that, and I wanted.
How could you forget that?
Because I blocked it out. They blocked it out because of the trauma.
Oh, Stephen!
Oh my god!
It was so good.
Look, all right. Real talk. I'm going to body shame Cy Snoodles. I'm just gonna what a hideous monster that is. I do not want a romance story about that.
Oh, don't body shame, Stephen. That's not cool.
It was a love story, and she had been done wrong.
I mean, let's be honest. Zero ain't great.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
I mean, Zero gets what he deserves there.
Right.
No, I talking real though. Yeah, it is strangely a season of two halves, and originally I remember wondering. Thank you, Aaron. I'm got my beard for you. So, no, I remember wondering why they had done it this way, because there is sort of a marked difference in what the stories that they tackle in the first half versus what they do in the second half. And I always wondered why they didn't sort of mix the episodes up a bit more. And I finally realized on this watch why they actually didn't do that. It's because halfway through the season, a bunch of characters get redesigns and like upgraded animation. Anakin and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka have brand new costumes.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really
consistent.
Yeah, so if they had mixed up the episodes, there would have been like continuity goof ups left and right. So I suspect that probably played a part in it. But that said, like I still enjoy some elements of the first half, especially I have to say the opening two-parter with the clones on Camino is great.
This is a tie-in to one of the earlier episodes of, was it season 1 or season 2, where the
season 1
the rookies,
and
I believe it's the rookies on the listening station.
And I actually call the first half of the season politics prequels and zero. Oh my!
Yeah,
that's a good,
very good way of looking at it. Yeah,
yeah, because there's a lot of politics, but also prequels galore in this first half. And I was actually hoping you guys wouldn't get confused at some turns, because especially they turn the zero, in the episode into like retroactively into a 4-episode arc. Problem is the third part of that arc is back in season 1.
Yeah.
So I did hope you guys weren't too confused by that. But
to be honest, I was slightly in the moment, but then like, like, oh yeah, they do that. They have, And then I remembered I did remember vaguely. I remembered well enough.
Yeah, and strangely, I think season 3, the first half of season 3 is when they do the most of that. I don't recall that being a thing for season 4, which actually I think season 4 is the most consistent of the season. So you guys will see when we eventually get to that. And then I don't think they do that with season 5. I think it's more or less forward progression from this point on. But yeah, it was interesting the way they did that, because they have a chronological order for the Clone Wars, and the episodes of season 3 are like all over the place.
Okay.
And
that tracks.
Yeah, but they are continuing a lot of plots and storylines that they'd started earlier. So having that, carrying on some of those earlier stories kind of, ties them up a little bit, so you have some context.
Yeah. But in getting back to the opening arc, this is the point in which you really start to fall in love with Domino Squad, even though most of them don't
past the season.
Most of them died in season 1, and as you were saying, Nessie, in the episode Rookies, and then and poor Echo. Poor Echo meets a sad fate in the Citadel arc. But it's just a nice way to emotionally tie us to some more clones besides Rex and Cody.
And especially 99. I kind of fell in love with that guy, He's,
me too. Like, the clones are cool. They've kind of grown on me. Can we just take a moment to send our love to Aemy, who is not feeling well from her second vaccine dose?
I'm really sorry, Aemy. I know you were feeling a little bit of the effects yesterday, but it didn't seem like it was too bad, but it looks like it's hit you pretty hard since then. So I hope you feel better.
Yeah, we love you, Aemy. Feel better.
Much love.
But 99 is such a great character. I love 99.
And that really, he's old for a clone, With it really shows how the advanced aging and everything works on You know,
He's probably one of the first sort of
Yeah.
failed.
yeah, and he's been taking in all the rejects ever since.
Yeah, like later in the season when Echo finally died, I actually was like, I had
Not
an
Echo.
emotional reaction to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And full disclosure, my initial viewing of the Clone Wars was quite a bit disjointed. I mean, I know we haven't exactly breezed through it in our discussions, but I think I had even longer gaps between seasons initially, and until like I started watching, I think like the second half of season 3 through to the end of the series. But it's why I don't think that I had like fully registered like all the names to the different clones and known when to recognize certain characters. So it wasn't until subsequent viewings of the series when I started to really hang on to these characters, and it's just great to be able to follow along with characters like Fives and Echo, and I can't wait for you guys to see where Fives goes as a character. Just the stuff that he gets later on. So, but sorry, I was trying to read that comment.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's
99
asking
was the last
in Five's
season.
name, how many fives were there in his name? There was like 4 or 5 fives at the end.
Yeah.
5555.
But
I don't know how many it was.
Yeah, and 99 was the last of the first 100, I guess.
And I don't want to give anything quite away, but I will say that 99 has a bit of a legacy that you'll see, pop up much later on. Then I don't want to say anything more than that, but we'll get there.
Eventually.
Yeah. But
thank you, Kenneth Pascal, CT 275555. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I just love the whole dynamic with the clones, and then with the the bounty hunters training them, and you had the sort of the teacher who believes in them versus the one who's stuff on that whole dynamic, and the way it forces them to be have more ingenuity, and I just, and the nice thing also is you start to notice, I think starting with this episode, but it definitely progresses more throughout the season of the animation quality is a step up, but it's funny because at the time I remember thinking, wow, the animation's gotten so great now, but now I'm used to what they did with season 7 of Clone Wars and moving into Bad Batch, so now I can see the seams of the of this animation. So
but you're right, it is infinitely better. Like okay,
I can't wait to see how much better Obi-Wan's beard is gonna get. It's the beard game needs a little work, but
well, I mean that's very stylized, so it's it's purposely angular, and there's actually there's been some cosplays at like Star Wars conventions where people even have that look.
Yeah, I've seen some.
Sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
Okay, well, I'm going to say goodnight to Shane Nolan. First time I've noticed you in the chat, but saying goodnight. Catch it on VOD tomorrow. Well, I hope you enjoy the conversation, and thanks for stopping by live. Where were we? Oh, yes, clones and stuff. Something I was going to say earlier. Like, I can pick out Rex and Cody like immediately, pretty easily now. Like, even if they're standing amongst other people who are wearing the shoulder boards or, even in the same colors, what have you. Like, I've gotten pretty good at picking them out. Most of the rest are faceless masses to me, but like they really are taking care to make them individuals, to make them have all their own mindsets. Clearly, there's different levels of training there. Some of them have been trained to hide behind rocks, and some of them have not been trained to hide behind rocks.
They get there eventually. They get there.
I think they're doing a study, though, of like how effective this new tactic will be. Fingers crossed that it makes its way through the rest of the military. Hiding behind rocks is good in general. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
Find cover, kids. Find cover.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Jess, but I don't know what to call that thing. That thing that like Rex has the one side. I don't know. Shoulder board is the best thing I can come up with.
Yeah, no, the good thing about as far as telling the clones apart with Fives is he has the hand like on his armor that signifies who he is. So whenever it was him and Echo, you were able to tell them apart. And yeah, I really enjoyed getting to follow their story this season, and Fives is part of a really nice 4-episode arc with Rex in season 4.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. Yep.
Yeah, because I have to admit, I rather like, not to say that they're all necessarily the best arcs, but I do really like the stories with the clones. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's shining a light on their humanity, versus like the films which follow the main characters of the story, and the clones were just CGI doubles, basically, so it's nice to get to explore their characters and get to feel for them.
Yeah, I agree. And, that humanizing that they do for them makes the meat grinder that they keep throwing them into feel that much.
Yeah.
And kudos to a children's show for not shying away from talking about the fact that, the clones are dying in droves.
Yeah, and even once we get to the arc where Padme is pushing, to not, deregulate the banks and to make more clones and continue the war, she talks about, the lives lost, speaking of the clones, and to which the other guy is like, that's what we made them for.
Yeah, but what a crappy way to think about a sentient creature,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just
a random rock just flew through your screen.
I know.
An asteroid.
You were supposed to hide behind it, Nessie.
I know. That's my cover.
That's the cover. Gotta hide behind the rock.
But the politics is really, really tying in through a lot of this season as well. I'm glad you brought that up, John, because they're talking economics here. This clone order of escalating the war is basically going to bankrupt the economy. And this is the first I hear of, they're talking about the services that are provided by the society to its members, and they're already having to cut deep into that as it is. So they're no longer providing. Some places don't have enough power, and other places are running low on other supplies, and so or the lack of medication, what have you. So it really is showing some of the costs of war, just on the citizenry across the story.
Yeah, and I have to say, I really rather enjoyed more so than I think on especially my initial viewing of this season and maybe even subsequent times. I very much enjoy getting to spend time with Padme and go through her different stories, because I think it's, it's easy for us to, naturally we're going to say, oh, the second half of the season is where all the meaty stuff happened. But I do really like getting to see her character development and the way that she's fighting a different kind of war.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely.
And especially since I've been reading those Padme books by E.K. Johnston, read them if you haven't. It's great to see this as sort of a continuation of those struggles that she faces in there. And I like the fact that she's continuing to hold on to her values and her idealism. I like that, there's that point where the banking clan guy and is like, I had hoped age would temper her idealism. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna have any luck there. This is Padme freaking Amidala.
Padme we're talking about.
Yeah.
And she does, I mean, her life is constantly in jeopardy. She's always got, there's always these assassination plots around not just her, but the members of the Senate that are like her allies. So there's threats being made against them constantly, whether it's to them, their families, their lives are always in danger. It's not just they're not out on the front lines with the troops and the Jedi, but they're constantly facing death threats.
Yeah. And we did get to go back to Mandalore.
Yes, we did.
The season, like any time we get to spend with Satine, I'm very happy. She's such a great character, and and there's a whole plan for a coup d'état in Mandalore, which I wish I could say we've seen the last of Prime Minister Almeric.
Spoilers.
Content warning.
Yeah, I'm not saying the circumstances of it. But yeah, it's I like that, and the fact that first we get Padme there, and then Ahsoka comes in, and I did like is something that is a big part of this season is Ahsoka coming into her own, and we'll obviously talk more about that as we get to the later episodes. But I like that because I know one thing you remarked about season 2 was Stephen was not enough Ahsoka, and she definitely had a bigger part to play this season. And
yeah,
like I really felt like she had some really strong entries this season. Both, even in the sort of stuff she was in the first half, was still really strong for the most part. And that end is
she finished real strong.
Like the Mortis arc and like, all right,
and that
myself a little bit. We're still talking about the early stuff, but yeah, like. She's the main character of this story, y'all, and she's also the most interesting character in the story. IMO.
Hell yeah.
And like, how far has she come from? Because again, like as someone who has been part of like nerd culture for a long time, I knew of her before I really knew anything about her.
Right.
Like you could show me a picture and be like, "That's Ahsoka Tano." What do you know about her? She's Anakin's apprentice at some point.
There you go.
And then I watched early Clone Wars, and I was like, "Oh my god, how annoying is this 14-year-old girl?"
I imagine it must also. I'd be interested to know to hear your guys' point of view. It's probably interesting also to watch this as you guys had watched the early Clone Wars episodes, but since then you've also watched the Mandalorian, where she pops up there, and so now how is it going back and seeing like her develop and start to move towards that character we're gonna see?
Yeah,
Especially the costume change like it was very noticeable to me that all of a sudden she was, well, and maybe it's the storytelling plus the animation, but like it seems like she went from being a 14-year-old to a 16-year-old. You know, and,
Yeah.
and 2 years doesn't make a whole lot of difference, but a 14-year-old is a lot closer to a child than a 16-year-old is.
They grow
Like
up
there's a
so
lot of growing up
quickly.
that can happen in that 2-year time, especially when you're, you know, fighting in a war.
Yeah.
There's this whole conversation we could have about child soldiers and Jedi shouldn't be generals, and like I think, but we'll table that for another time.
Oh, we'll be able to have that conversation when we get to a certain captain and what he has to say on those matters.
Yeah.
But
Or Sergeant Duchess when she has her say on Jedi peacekeeper generals. So how that's didn't quite fit.
yeah, but yeah. Okay, so what else do we have in the first half? Because I know those episodes are not nearly as eventful as what comes later, and I know we're jumping at.
I do
Get
this
into the meat of it.
her little clandestine infiltration on Mandalore with the younger kids that kind of showed her. I mean, she didn't quote this, start it, but she wasn't like trying to get these kids into to go do something reckless but I guess she understands being reckless because she kind of gets that from her. She has a lot of influences on her that can be rather reckless. So it really just fit in. And she's seeing these things in what she's, kids now, where like she was 2 years ago or what have you, when this war started, she was in the same position as like Corky and his little company of Mandalorian. So, you can really see the difference there where she had kind of her age up experience.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, I think it's an important thing to note because I talked about the costume changes and the character redesigns, and Stephen, you were talking about like the age jumping up, what looks like a couple of years. They, with shows like this and animated shows, cost is always a factor. So it's like as to why maybe they don't do like more gradual aging and costume changes. Yeah, it's because they do have to use those particular computer models,
I understand that
again and again.
Process, but like it was man. Second half of season 2 or season 3, Ahsoka is like I fell truly in love with the character. Love the new look. It's a little bit more modest, which I kind of appreciate.
I think that was a major consideration there because I think there were rightfully some issues that some people had with a rather more revealing costume on a young girl, which so I very much approve more of the costume design they went with, and I just think it looks better. Period.
I do too. It's a fantastic outfit. Yeah. Like I love her new outfit.
I really like her head wrap and everything like the longer head wrap. Yeah, it's great.
Now, I found out that is part of her body.
Well, yeah, it's her head tails, but
yeah,
you can tell she's growing up.
They're longer than they were.
Yeah, her head tails are developing. So. Yeah.
Just as there's a lot of revealing costumes in the show. I mean, yes, you're right. Like they're not going to miss a chance to have a Twi'lek dancer on the show. I don't know if that changes in the future, but that was something I was going to say earlier about. Yeah, you can tell the animation really improved. Just look at all the Twi'lek dancers; they look much more believable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there were. And this is veering into the later episodes, but something that I really took note of in this is, I know there's some stuff that is still targeted towards a younger audience with the show, but they really kind of go out of the way to sort of challenge younger viewers in terms of the violence that they portray on screen as well.
Sorry, we've got Cat. Internet rules, Cat.
Oh yes, it's my stream kitty.
Kitty.
She needs to be near Mama.
Okay.
She's on her chair.
Okay. Well, we have given time to our almighty cat overlords. Let's return to the conversation.
The YouTube algorithm gods appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah. Cat is always going to overrule everything.
I mean, we're gonna this is the internet. I know the rules. Kitty comes. Kitty gets the attention for a minute.
Yeah. And of course, oh my God! But I know what we didn't talk about, guys. We didn't talk about Jar Jar.
You know what? Least annoying he's ever been.
Was he in this season?
I actually found him to be kind of funny in that episode.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, they actually did have Ahmed Best return to voice him this episode. I think they did some episodes later in season 1 and in season 2 where they had someone imitating him as Jar Jar, which somehow managed to be even more annoying. So at least they brought Ahmed back, and that's the thing. I think throughout the course of the Clone Wars, he starts to chip away at you, and you become endeared to him.
Yeah, I never thought I'd see it, but when he's stacking the plates and just the stuff he's kind of mumbling under his breath to himself, I'm like, this is kind of funny, yo.
And then when the Nimoidian is like, what are you staring at?
Yeah.
Oh, God, love it. And that was, of course, another prequel episode, because that's the setup for the episode Ambush in season 1, where Yoda goes to meet with the king. So yeah, prequels left and right.
Yeah, that was part of what, I'm not gonna lie, that threw me. But once I had this realization of this is probably from the past somewhere, I watched season 1 for the season 1 stream. Same with season 2. I have not revisited those early seasons.
Yeah.
I didn't love them either. I think if you'll recall, I enjoyed them for what they were, but I did not love them. I kind of loved the second half of season 3. So I'm going to hijack this stream and force it down that path now, because the arc of the Night Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
It's as soon as that episode starts, you're like, oh, now we're going.
Yeah,
down an interesting path. Yeah, this is where Asajj Ventress really starts to become a really classic character, and I love her. I know you you were saying Ahsoka is, you were saying Ahsoka is the best character in the show. I would argue I'm not going to place, combat those two, but I think really the female characters really start to at the complete forefront of the show, and Ventress places her story goes, and it's kind of unfortunate in this. I don't know if this counts really as a spoiler or not, because I'm not talking about any story details, but everybody knows that the Clone Wars was canceled prematurely, so her story actually continues in the novel. I'm trying to remember what it's called now. I'm blanking out for a minute, but there was a novel published that continues her Clone Wars story.
No, I can see the cover of it.
Which they didn't have. Which, since they did it there, they decided not to do it for when they brought the Clone Wars back, and I think they only had a certain number of episodes anyway. So, but I would say that once you guys get through Clone Wars, I'm going to highly recommend reading that book. Because Ventress is an absolutely incredible character.
Yeah,
and
I started to love her too.
Yeah.
With this season, I'm like, I want to see more of her. Lots more. I mean, she's made the cameo appearances in earlier episodes and earlier.
She's been around a little bit.
She's been around, yeah, and she's got that little back and forth that she does with Obi-Wan, which I just love. That just kind of sets him a little off, just because like he doesn't quite know what to do with her. But I love her. She's just come her backstory now. Oh my God, just that. I
absolutely
prove your loyalty to Count Dooku. Count Dooku's like, you got to prove your loyalty to me. Man, just because she really believed in him.
Yeah. But I just want to give not to be superficial, but I got to give a shout out to that really cool hairstyle that she had when she was a teenager. And then she flashback. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool. I think she has that also in the book I was just talking about. So it's a shame we never got to see that animated because it's a cool look.
Just take a moment, read, and I'll say, perfect. Thank you, Potter. That's some top shelf trolling you're doing there.
Yeah, that's what did it, Potter. I was fully on board with the Empire until then.
Yep.
But yeah, no, and everything with the Night Sisters and when we do it, Dathomir, I freaking love this whole story, and this is a story that's going to get bigger. As they go into there's a little tease at the end of this arc of what's to come there.
Yeah.
There was another name drop.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see that. Because I didn't know that Savage Opress was Maul's brother.
Yeah.
And I heard the name Savage Opress, but I didn't know who that was, if I'm being honest. I just didn't know who that was. But what a fun character to watch he was. I love
the way they set him up also, whereas he's not a bad guy and he's looking out for his friends
he's cursed.
Yeah.
He's mind controlled by witches and he got super soldier serum and so he's Captain Dathomir.
Yeah, he got super soldiers.
Oh, that reminds me. For those of you that play in one of my Dungeons and Dragons games, there is a place on the map called the Ruins of Dathomir. And do you know what you will find when you go there? Mostly fog and witches. Which is exactly how Dathomir is described.
Oh, can't wait.
Yeah.
Fog and witches. And weird trees.
I just love that there's
what's up with these trees?
But I just love that in the middle of all this there's witches. There's there's no attempt to dress it up as
they're
give them some special name. It's
more force
there's
users.
witches.
Oh my.
Yeah, but what's great is they don't really delve into what their magic is. We can assume perhaps it's drawn from the Force, and as by the nature of the Force, everything probably is. But they don't go into detail about what exactly this magic of theirs is, and I think that makes it incredibly mysterious and fun.
Right. Well, Ventress is obviously a Force user, so it's
That's right. Season 3 showing how expansive the galaxy is as far as trippy stuff.
Yeah. So the planet produces some pretty powerful Force wielders.
Yep, because that's where Darth Maul is from as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
did I is the Witch Queen is also his mother as well? Did I catch that?
Well, and she's called
Mother is a title.
Yeah, Mother
Yeah,
Talzin. And I don't like. There's more I could say, but I'm gonna let it.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
How many of
We'll
them
get to
is
it.
actually their mother of?
They're all Targaryens.
They're all Targaryens. Yeah.
Well, no, because when Ventress first shows up, she says, Mother Talzin. But then in flashback, they show who is presumably her mother as someone different. So it just looked at it as a title,
So she's not Spacecraster.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad. I'm glad we got that cleared up. But yeah, I mean, I really. Okay, if you will allow me, I want to talk about Mortis. Okay, because
the other creepy planet. Yeah, let's talk about that one.
Oh wait, what's Mortis? I don't think those were very eventful episodes. Let me look through my notes.
I loved how trippy and weird that was. Like,
yeah.
And like sometimes I'm not a big fan of boiling it down to the light side and the dark side. Of course, that's the well-established canon of Star Wars. But like, this is the first time we're getting a strong feeling of that middle path, if you'll excuse the, I'm going to borrow from Buddhism for a second, but that middle path that leads to balance and understanding. And, bring balance to the Force has been a thing since the beginning. That's what he is the chosen one for.
Right.
And this is the first time where we're getting someone who lives in the balance as the Father does. And I also love the extremes of his two children. I also I also love the way the daughter isn't just always good, all nice all the time, but she is definitely a light side leaning being, and the son, same with the dark side. But
patriarchy, drink.
Yeah, but like when he visits his sister's grave and he's like, you're the only person I ever loved, and yet they're so diametrically opposed. It says something about the nature of the Force in that relationship, which I know will be expanded on further. I love the idea of the Gray Jedi. Like, it's my favorite thing. I watch Star Wars for force powers and laser swords. That's why I watch it, So this was just right up my alley with the mysticism and the philosophy and all of that.
I think what's so tantalizing about this is the fact that you might come to it more cynically if not for the fact that that George was the one who was pushing out all these stories. Dave Filoni was working side by side with him on all of the Clone Wars, and so the fact that this is just getting into the intricacies of the Force and all of that right from George's mind, it's this is meat that we've never had before, and it's just it's so wonderful. I just, and this is I was glad to hear when you said that you really loved the second half of this season, because I do feel second half of season 3 is when the Clone Wars starts to shift into something else.
This is what it's going to be going forward. I can't wait.
I'm not gonna say that there aren't there's going to be certain arcs where it's okay, this is the one catering to the kids for a couple weeks. It's not I've never said that Clone Wars is a show that was always on, but I think I think that this is the point where it really digs deeper into Star Wars lore and the storytelling, and it's what makes this show, when people say you have to watch the Clone Wars, it's for stuff like this.
And I get it. I do.
Yeah.
I really get it now. Like,
Yeah.
this was one of those things I always intended to watch, but then you see a clip here or there, and you see maybe it's from season 1 or season 2, and you're like, that animation's a little rough. That weird side character with orange skin and head tails is really kind of annoying. Like, but as with any good story, you need to place your characters to start so that they can grow from there. And
I'm just going to throw this up because I can always count on you.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
Star Wars now has mythology, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I meant by that is, like, this is the stuff about the Force that George, thinks about and what he intends for the story. It's not just like, if it was somebody, if George wasn't behind the Clone Wars and it was just Filoni and he was writing, just things that he wanted to think up for Star Wars, which I believe he actually can now because he became the apprentice and now he's sort of the master.
Now he is the master.
Yeah. But at this point, I think it was very important that for this series that he was getting stuff that George actually wanted to say about Star Wars. So that's why something that actually like embodies these concepts of the light and the dark and balance, we're able to take that with the absolute authority because it's coming from Lucas. This is, and this is stuff that he's been thinking about, but hasn't put into the actual films. And I think that's what makes it so intriguing. Yeah.
I mean, again, one of my biggest problems with the Force as a concept has always been this idea of like, it's binary. It's this or that. And like some people find the middle path, but like the Jedi are fully reject the dark side, but clearly you don't because you're a general in an army. So
right.
you can't see the world. You can't do violence without tapping into the dark side. And, as much as I'm nearly a pacifist, but I say that nearly because I also recognize that I would have been one of the people that volunteered to go fight Hitler in World War II. There is a time and a place where violence becomes the only option, but it should be the last option. They say it themselves in the season several times. They're supposed to be peacekeepers, but they're generals leading armies.
Yeah.
And, they're asking teenagers to kill people on the battlefield, which Ahsoka does. Ahsoka kills people this season.
Yeah.
Like, I don't recall her doing it in previous seasons, but she kills a few people this season.
Yeah, and especially there's a moment at the end of the season where she doesn't really have a choice. It's her life or or the creature that she's facing, but they do make a point to let that moment sink in.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I imagine it's still a ways off, but I see the cracks forming where she's not a Jedi. Because the Ahsoka we get in The Mandalorian, she's like, I'm not a Jedi.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of knew that she didn't finish her Jedi training, but like you're starting to see those cracks form in the foundation of her sort of worldview.
Yeah.
From early in the season when she talks to that separatist kid for a while, Padme's friend's son.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lux Bonteri, who just keep an eye out for him.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
But I'm saying that might not just be a one-off appearance. But
might not be. I got you. But
you might want to look to see if this guy comes back.
But like she's questioning.
Yeah.
She's asking smart questions.
Yeah. Well, she's she's having social interactions with separatists that are friends of her, people she respects. So it's different than just the anonymity on the battlefield or fighting battle droids or what have you. This is like, hey, we could be friends. I don't know why we're fighting.
Yeah, I really like that because I don't think there's any other time when we really get to see like the people who like are idealistically part of the separatists. It's always the military and the villains, but there's a lot of people who actually believe that the Republic is corrupt, which guess what? It is.
The thing is, Palpatine is doing that thing where he plays both sides against the middle.
Oh yeah, because it's a power play.
Right, because he's in charge on one side and his second in command, Count Dooku, is in charge on the other side. So keep the war going, all for the purpose of war profiteering, which is but really ultimately to sort of grind down the feelings of safety to the point where they start giving away their freedoms in order to achieve security. I can't remember who said it, but there's a very famous quote that goes something like, any country that will sacrifice its liberty to achieve its security will lose both and deserve neither. So this is an old idea. It's very, let's just say, topical in the world we live in still. And, it's interesting to see a kids show try to tackle that topic.
I don't know what you're talking about, Stephen.
Yeah, I know. We're Americans and we know.
We know.
For those of you that aren't.
Damn it, Amy, you're having a bad influence on me.
Yeah. It was a little one, though, John. I'll let you squeak by.
And Jess also brings up a good point because we see Anakin trying to mimic some of these same thoughts, like, well, maybe this is what we should do to, because anything we can do to bring this war to a close is what we should do because it will ultimately save more lives. Yeah, I mean, but hey, man, give peace a chance. But it's doomed to failure because, like you were saying, Stephen, the whole war is just a sham on both sides. Everybody's getting played, by this guy who wants to destabilize the galaxy, and so he can.
And speaking of Palpatine, he has like a really chilling scene this season where after Padme gives her speech. And wins the vote, and he's in there talking with I don't remember the character's name, but his
guy with
his stooge, and he's like says something like, "Isn't it amazing that one can have all the power in the galaxy, and yet the voice of a single senator, can sway such an important vote." And the other guy's like, "What are you going to do, sir?" And he's like, "For now, we must let the wheels, of democracy turn." And he just says it all evil-like. And that's how the episode ends. It's just a very kind of creepy thing.
Yeah. You just see him for those, that mastermind that he is.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered something I wanted to bring up. George Lucas got to be in a couple episodes of this. Didn't he? Because is his name Ponda Baba?
Oh, the chairman of
the guy with the blue skin and the white beard who wears the purple.
It did look like him, didn't it?
It did look like him. Now, is that who George Lucas played in that? Like, now you got me.
I highly doubt it was that he.
I'm sure it wasn't George Lucas himself. No, that's not his name. His name is not Ponda Baba. That's the guy that was with Walrus Face.
Oh, okay.
No, he is Walrus Face. Ponda Baba is Walrus Face. I'm going to find this out. George Lucas.
Well, while Steven's doing that, we're coming pretty close to our mid-roll.
Papa Noida. Papa Noida is the character that he played as an extra, basically.
Yeah, but I don't think he actually performed the voice, Steven.
No, he didn't. But that's him. That's his likeness. That's the character that he embodied in a movie. So George Lucas,
the unforgettable
Papa, jump around shooting blasters and stuff.
I do want to go ahead and bring this up. Yeah, what this show does brilliantly is the way it lays the tracks for Anakin's turn to the dark side, because it is pretty abrupt in Revenge of the Sith. But the thing is, once you've seen this show, there's so much established that you just feel like by the time you get to Revenge of the Sith, it's not going to take much to tip him in that direction. So I think that is really one of the brilliant things about this show. And the fact that, I think we covered the sort of characterization of Anakin in the series before, but I just think this series did a monumentally better job of portraying Anakin as both someone that we really like a lot and we cheer for, but also showing his dark tendencies and setting up that fall.
Yeah, that's a really solid point. I didn't think about it until you said something just now, but whenever Anakin is on the screen or in the episode or whatever, I'm just like, he's a good guy. Yeah. But when you get those moments where he's tempted or fearful or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah.
Or just his facial expression,
especially the Mortis arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's God, that is such it's a classic example of the missteps that Anakin will take. It's like he sees a vision of what's to come and what he's going to do, and he decides that the way to avoid that is to go down a dark path. It's like, no, learn the right thing from that vision, Anakin.
And the fact that the father just has to takes that vision from him.
Mm-hmm.
No idea of what he's going to become.
Yeah, which I'm sure the father meant best, but that's just a Band-Aid at the end of the day.
You removed any chance that he would learn from that later.
Yeah.
Right. But the point of the prophecy, here we go dipping into prophecy. The prophecy is that he has to do these things and, for the ultimate balance to occur. Had he just embraced and stayed with the dark side from that point, it could have just irretrievably tipped, to the dark and never found balance in the end. The son and Anakin being, they're two pretty powerful, individuals. The Emperor wouldn't have stood a chance.
Yeah.
I
just really love the Mortis arc. I
do. It's how much is predestination and free will. God.
And the way that one part of the Force relates to another part of the Force, and just and watching the brother and sister do all the shape shifting that they do. And the visual styling of those characters. It was beautiful to watch. It was great to watch Ahsoka, dark Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I hate it when you call me that. You know, Snips. And then freaking Anakin goes right back to calling her Snips afterwards. It's like, you saw under the hood. Maybe take a note.
Right. Read the room, bro.
And that too, that is a big part of Ahsoka's development going forward, because as you were saying, Stephen, she's not a Jedi. She's been touched by both the dark, when she was her psyche was taken over, by the sun, but then also at the end when the daughter imbued her with, the last of her strength to, so she's got the dark and the light.
Which is really important to
later on.
Later on.
Yeah, but like, I'm not even saying like that I've gotten to see like the full culmination of that. I think like there's stuff that is more theory about Ahsoka at this point that I think we're still going to get payoff for as we move forward with the character, even possibly in the live action show that's coming up. So,
right on. You're getting your own show.
Yeah.
Which I mean, they're probably not going to have Tamura Morrison playing Captain Rex.
Oh, they better.
Well, he's going to have his own show as Boba Fett, so maybe I would be here for it.
I know. I really want to see a live action Captain Rex. But Nessie, I have to ask, like, did you jump out of your seat when you saw Qui-Gon?
Yes. I was like, oh my God, there he is. I knew
the boyfriend showed up.
Yes.
My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble.
So yes, confirmation that Qui-Gon lives in the Force. That he's able to come through.
I'll let you gush about Qui-Gon and everything you have on that, but we've been going for an hour. It's time for the mid-roll. Now, that means for those of you that are not regulars here or it's your first time watching, there's still a whole hour of this conversation left, but this is the part where we all bow our heads and pray to the YouTube gods with the YouTube prayer. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe and share with your friends. Please, if you would, send this to your friends, your family, your grandmama, if she's into nerdy stuff. Amen. Thank you. And next week on Here Be Dragons, we've got John and I. We might have a guest. I'll probably try to find somebody who wants to come talk about the back half of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Nessie, I know you're not going to be here because you got to work. But we'll be talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier. And just as a brief content preview for next week, if you remember when we did our first half stream, I was kind of ragging on the show a bit. You'll be happy to know that I love the second half so far. Like,
thank God, I actually haven't watched the very latest episode yet.
It's the best one so far, in my opinion.
It's so good.
Thank God, because hopefully that means I won't have to be the most positive person on the stream, because I really hate being the most positive person about something Marvel.
Right.
It just doesn't come naturally to me, Stephen.
Okay, fine. But yeah,
I'm glad where they're going with this, and I'm hoping we got one more episode that they're gonna stick the landing, because this is really good.
I hope so too. So Nessie, what's coming up over there on the Unspun Yard?
We've got a special episode coming up on the 21st, I think. Which is Wednesday. I question everything because sometimes it's Wednesday or Thursday. Anyway, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. You got the lovely nautical nerd Kelly, the Jaded Redhead, is going to be on an episode of BTP, and we're going to bleep ahoy, y'all, and talk about all types of nautical nonsense and maritime misogyny.
you got there. That's perfect. Nautical nonsense and maritime misogyny. going to be a great conversation. Kelly's
It
gonna,
is. Kelly is a
Kelly's a
delight.
great guest no matter what. Aaron loves the name Bleep Ahoy.
I
I love
know.
it too.
I can hear and see Kelly just cringe every time we say
yeah. So, John, I would ask you what's coming up on John Webster Film, but like, you're even rebranding, aren't you?
No, sorry guys, it'll be another couple months. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, we launched. The Cinematic Realms podcast is live now. So far, we're on Anchor and Spotify. That will be popping up in more places soon, hopefully. And of course, you can also find our episode, a video version of our episode, on the John Webster Film YouTube channel. As always, first thing up is Aemy and I did an introductory episode where we just basically BS'd for an hour and a half.
I listened to it this morning. It was actually really great. It was just two friends riffing. It was great.
Yeah. So we talked about lots of different stuff, movies, what we're thinking about for, the channel. We complained about Netflix for a while. So, yeah. So just, you can either watch us on YouTube or go put us in your ears and listen. Next up, which we're recording this Tuesday, will be talking about The Wizard of Oz.
Cool.
So look for that in the future, soon, hopefully.
In the future, soon, hopefully.
No, it'll be coming. We're in motion now. So
right.
So
no, I'm really glad, man. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's give our patrons their shout outs because we love them and they deserve it. Our Patreon High Council consists of Lord John Bronsteen the Wise, Sixto Sounds, aka JP the Axe Grinder, as well as Ridiculous Ed Tollett, the Alpha Patron. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your contributions. And then they are backed up by the lords and ladies of the realm, including Lady Leaf Underhill, Aemy Blackfyre, lover of poles, Ryan Stavka, the Russian quartermaster, and our newest member of the Lords and Ladies, Reflective Rambling. Love you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want to become a patron, links down in the description. You don't get anything for it other than shout outs, but like they're wonderful, lovely people that help us pay for the software and what have you. Thank you so much, guys.
Things.
As a way of saying thank you, 2 weeks from today, we will be having our 100th episode. That is May the 2nd, Sunday, at 6 p.m. Eastern, our normal streaming time. We will be having our 100th episode spectacular, where we will reflect on what it's been like to do this for as long as we've done it, and we will be giving away hundreds of dollars worth of really awesome stuff. So you want to be here for that. And when I say hundreds of dollars, we are giving away a $100 gift card to San Rixian's Threadless shop. We are giving away about $100 worth of Michael Klarfeld maps. We are giving away a 3-pack of Keira Knightley. Is it Justin Wright?
Joe Wright.
Joe Wright. I'm sorry. I'm not the cinephile they are, but we're giving away a 3-pack of Keira Knightley, Joe Wright movies. And we are also giving away a ticket for Con of Thrones. Not airfare, not hotel, but a ticket for Con of Thrones will be given away. So, yeah, please do join us in 2 weeks where we'll just be riffing and having fun and giving away a whole bunch of free stuff. But you can only win it if you're here while we're live. So, yeah. And I'm super pumped to give away a bunch of crap, too. So,
yeah, it's going to be fun.
Anyway, yeah. So, Qui-Gon?
Qui-Gon? Oh. And this is about what we saw.
Right?
But
No,
the question is,
yeah.
it leaves it ambiguous, though. Was it Qui-Gon?
It was Qui-Gon, John. It just don't fight me on this, okay? Don't fight me on this. Let me have my moment. Let me have my moment. This is it was so great to see him again. It's been so long. Um no, but I did really, it was a great cameo, and having him come in and just reinforcing, the teachings on Anakin, because he is the one who identified him and believed in him, and, as the chosen one. So, I mean, he is very, very instrumental in getting Anakin right to the place where he is, in these episodes on Mortis, which is all about the chosen one. So I'm so glad that they decided to drop my boy in here just for a good pep talk, set him straight, get him, remember your training.
Yeah, I have to say it really, and granted, I'm more of an episode 1 fan than most people are, but it really got me in the feels just seeing Anakin and Qui-Gon like talking. It really brought me back to
I mean, think about Luke, in later episodes, Luke gets his guidance, he gets his Force Ghost guidance, and it's just those brief little moments, those brief little voiceovers from Obi-Wan, and to have Anakin get that type of messaging and reinforcement, at this part, it just kind of ties it together a little bit for me. I just, it gets me right in the feels.
Yeah, I've always asked that question of like, what would have happened if Qui-Gon had been Anakin's mentor? Because as much as we see that bond between Anakin and Obi-Wan, especially throughout this series, they do have a more, of a brother relationship,
right.
Whereas
difference.
Qui-Gon would have had like a different sort of
He would have been
authoritative,
more fatherly type figure.
Yeah. So I have always wondered about that, and so to get that glimpse of the two of them talking again just was, it was great to see. I loved it.
Yeah, and Qui-Gon wasn't that into the whole fighting. He was such a pacifist. I love him. He had that whole monk, just Zen aura going on. Very, very neutral, very gray.
Sorry, whenever somebody says Zen, I just think of sorry, I'm veering off the topic, but I'm just thinking of the Tron sequel, Tron Legacy, where Jeff Bridges goes, "You're messing with my Zen thing, man."
But and if you've read any of the other books, I read Master and Apprentice recently, and delving into the relationship between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and seeing how his teaching style was with Obi-Wan, and where he learned so many, his style, or the style that he used, is so different from what Obi-Wan uses with Anakin. Anakin, he Obi-Wan is much more rigid, but like the frustrating thing, what frustrated Obi-Wan the most about Qui-Gon was he would not teach him the lightsaber. He wouldn't teach him anything beyond one basic, style with the lightsaber. Nothing fancy, none of the tricks or whatever of more flashier styles, just the basic meat and potatoes, and that's the only thing he would let him learn. So he just frustrated him, but then he became like the master of Form 5, I believe it was. So yeah, it's like the wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi type teaching. It doesn't make sense at the time, but it does later. So,
well, yeah, and in that way, like, yeah, because Obi-Wan is sort of like the quintessential Jedi of like doing everything exactly the way it's supposed to be done.
Everything by the book. Where
he's definitely lawful good.
Definitely lawful good, yeah. So and he just wants to always see the best, in Anakin. And again, I think it kind of blinds him to some of the signs that we're seeing. It blinds him to his Oh, some of his less stellar moments.
Yeah.
Makes excuses. He knows he's reckless, but doesn't do a lot to curb it. So.
Yeah, I think he fundamentally believes in Anakin, and he loves him so much. And I think, and that is one of the real values. Yeah, and this is one of the real values of this show, because I always felt that something the films didn't do enough of was really establish this close bond that the two of them have, because like they're at each other's throats in Attack of the Clones, and then they're buddies for like 20-30 minutes at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, but we don't really get enough of a sense of how close they are, and this entire show shows how much they care for each other and how much Obi-Wan, as I said, believes in him as and a person. They're there for each other, and so yeah, I think he does let something slip by his notice just because he might not want to see them.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know how to change names showing up and dropping a massive troll just right off the bat.
Peadar, you have to fight for your crown.
Right.
Oh, Battle of the Trolls.
Yeah. But thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
I do also want to say, like, the for the Mortis arc, a bit of trivia. The voice of the son is actually Sam Witwer.
Okay.
Who's done a couple Star Wars things. I know that
he's the voice of Palpatine and Obi-Wan.
Not Obi-Wan.
No.
I
know he's Palpatine.
Not in this. He voiced Palpatine in one of the Star Wars Rebels episodes. But he was also the voice of a character in one of the video games like years back.
Oh yeah, Star Killer.
Yeah, and he is also the voice moving forward. And this is not a spoiler because presumably you guys have seen Solo.
Yes. So
you've already been exposed to it anyway. But he is the voice of Darth Maul. Pretty much everywhere that's not the Phantom Menace. So I found it interesting that he's known for voicing these dark side characters, and they chose him to voice the son. So it's almost like the son is representing these different aspects of a few different characters.
Yeah. Okay. So I just looked him up. It's Darth Maul that he's really known for.
And he is brilliant as Maul. I can't wait for you.
I know him from things completely unrelated.
Yeah.
But I'm aware.
Because he's also a live action actor.
But I am aware of his Star Wars cred. It's legit.
Yeah.
So there's this thing I watch sometimes on YouTube. It's like a trivia challenge thing. It's specifically movie trivia challenge thing. But these people go hard. They're like film critics and editors and producers and stuff. And the people that are best at it spend hours and hours studying. And if you know the channel Star Wars Explained, Alex Damon runs that channel, and he is their current champion. Sam Witwer was a former champion. So, I'm aware of his Star Wars credentials.
Yeah. I think, if I'm wrong about this, I don't think Sam Witwer will hunt me down in person, but I'm just going to say I might be wrong about this, but I believe I listened to an interview where he was asked by James Arnold Taylor, who does the voice of Obi-Wan in this series, who his favorite Star Wars character was, and I believe he singled out Luke Skywalker as as his personal favorite. So you guys are kindred spirits in that regard.
Yeah. Single tier. Anytime, yeah, hey, I love me some Luke. But like Luke is not even conceived yet in this point in the story. And I really am enjoying, I really am starting to like fall in love with Clone Wars, and I'm sure it doesn't hurt that Ahsoka has had time to grow into a much more interesting and well-rounded character, that the animation is getting slicker, that we're taking on some bigger themes. It's not just the Separatists are attacking the thing again. It's not just that over and over again. Like there
And
are
I do
deeper stories that are being told about, heroes on both sides.
Stephen, if we ever do like a parody of Clone Wars, you are doing the announcer voice.
Oh, of course.
That's all there is to it.
That's the old meanwhile back at the Hall of Justice.
Right.
Guy. I love at the beginning of every episode, they've got the little mini crawl, the little beep, that gives a little homily or, proverb or what have you. Those are getting pretty deep.
Yeah, and
so I guess my larger point though is that I'm just excited. I'm more excited about watching season 4 than I have been about watching any of the previous up till now. And that really says something about, because I didn't feel that way 2 days ago when I was halfway through the season. I was like, yeah, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. But the back half of season 3 it really caught me.
Yeah, well, which is why I even said to you guys, now just warning, first half of season 3, little slow down. Just get to that second half and you'll be rewarded.
Well, I had to burn through season 2 first. I had to finish up season 2, and so that and season 3. Once season 3 hit the gas, it was like go time.
I watched it over the course of 4 days, and I watched like 5 one day, 6 the next day, and I finished this morning. So I started Thursday watching, because I know how I am,
Yeah.
I wanted it to be as fresh as possible. So I watched Thursday, I watched Friday, and Saturday I was just like, I just don't have it in me. I just don't have it in me. Like I was on Zoom with some friends yesterday, and they're like, what'd you do today? I'm like, not what I was supposed to. But last night when I got off that Zoom call, I started watching it, and I watched 6 episodes, and I'm like, this flew by. So I got through like all of the Dathomir Night Sisters arc, and then I got through all of the Mortis arc, and I was like, I loved it. And then first thing in the morning, I got right back up and watched those last 5 episodes this morning, like first thing. And I was like, this is fantastic. I love this. The whole Citadel breakout, and it might just be because Ahsoka is getting so much more to do, and it's becoming such a more interesting and capable character. Like, she is on a hero's journey of her own right now. We haven't seen her, go through the underworld yet, but she's rejected the call a few times, and she's being mentored. I just, man, it really is. My mind has been changed about the show, like I would say fundamentally.
And God, that makes me so happy. Yeah.
Stephen, those last few episodes, she was really
she was a goddamn hero.
I do love. I got orders to come on the mission. From who? I spoke with Master Plo Koon.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, what a great character he's turned out to be, because he just keeps showing up.
Yeah.
I want to make a Plo Koon cosplay. That would be awesome. I would wear that.
Yeah. Uncle Plo is great. I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also voiced by James Arnold Taylor, who does the voice of Obi-Wan. And I think he said he modeled Plo Koon after Ian McKellen as Gandalf a bit. So it's interesting that he does kind of have that dynamic with Ahsoka of. Because I know I probably mentioned this before, but you guys might have forgot. Plo Koon is actually the one who found Ahsoka when she was a child, a youngling, and brought her to the Order. So they have a very close bond.
I did not know that, but it reads because they do have a closeness to them that she doesn't share with anybody else outside of like Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of.
It's like she has someone to talk, so she can have someone to talk to other than Anakin.
That's not the chain of command over her, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. It's Anakin, Obi-Wan. Okay, I can talk to them, but they're kind of see her as one way. See her one way. And
I hate to do it, but I've got to go pee so bad right now. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Hurry up. Go ahead. But having him, he's almost like an uncle or a grandfather or somebody that she trusts, and knows that he gives her good counsel, and just basically says, the right thing to do,
and
what to be right.
And I want to say again, like, this is another thing, I keep saying this, but a great thing about this show is that a lot of these Jedi are like just, glorified extras in the films. And we really get to know them as characters in this so much that in Revenge of the Sith, when you see Plo Koon, in like the, whatever, the fighter jet and he's being fired at by the clones for Order 66 and stuff. It's like it triggers an emotional response now, because I feel like I know the character so well.
Yeah, and we get Kid Fisto in this season as well. Was it this season? Didn't we get this on? I don't know. I know that he. No, he wasn't on Ryan Loth. I don't think we've seen him this season. He did have an episode in one of the first two seasons.
Who are we talking about? Sorry.
And Kit Fisto, who's the green guy.
He's like the aquatic one. He's got lots of tentacles on his head.
Oh, no, I'm getting it mixed up in with season 4 because I started that one.
Oh. I haven't watched season 3 yet. I just finished season 3 this morning.
It was so good. Like the last episode of season 3 was just so good. I just didn't even notice that I'd gone right into season 4 because I'm like, give me more. It's so good.
Right? I'm with you.
And like season 4 is so good. Like we're not going to talk about it because
we're not going to talk about that
yet. But the thing is, like, there's only like probably 3 episodes in season 4 that are kind of like, throwaway, like. Story of the week side quests and stuff. The rest of season 4 is just like killer episodes. So I think it's probably my favorite overall season. Not to say there's better. I think there's better episodes in other seasons, but I think season 4 is like it's the most consistent in quality, and so you guys will have a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm literally like very much looking forward to it. It might not be 6 months before we get to season 4 now.
It might not be.
But yeah. So, and we get to meet Captain Tarkin.
Yeah, in an episode where are they Trandoshans?
No,
they're Rhodians.
The Trandoshans are the ones with Ahsoka where she gets taken prisoner.
Oh, right. That's the end. Okay, Citadel stuff.
It's Citadel.
Okay, you're right. Yes, Tarkin. Very, very cool.
Which obviously we love him immediately, don't we, John?
What a great, fun guy. That comes across like everybody's grandpa.
Yeah, but here's another. Character from the main universe. They're just dropping in. Hey, you remember this guy? Let's let you get a little bit of a taste of the early days. I certainly just could not predict him taking such a dark turn. It's just, totally goes against his character.
But you know what? It was fun to see him.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, I really appreciated it because and kudos to the animators. I recognized him, even though they said his name basically immediately. But I was like, that looks like Tarkin, Captain Tarkin.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason it looks like Tarkin.
And hats off to Steven Stanton, who does the voice, because he really captures Tarkin very well. And just, man, I think I hate him in Clone Wars even more than like in the films, because like in Star Wars, the film, he's just he's played by Peter Cushing, and he's like a mustache twirling without the mustache villain, and he's kind of fun to watch. In this, like, I really dislike him immensely.
Yeah.
And, like, right down to that moment where Ahsoka saves his life, and he's like, thank you, Padawan Tano. I see you've trained her well, Master Skywalker. It's like, yeah, it's all his. It's all thanks to him, not the person who actually saved him. But yeah, he's not pleasant. And then I'm shaking my head when like Anakin's agreeing with him on like military tactics and policy, and it's like. And then you're watching their dynamic, and you're like, "Oh shit! It's Tarkin and Vader, right in front of our eyes."
Right.
Oh yeah, gosh, like it's so crazy how that can slip past you, because it got by me. You said it now, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it is totally.
Yeah, it is. Proto Tarkin and Proto Vader having a conversation.
But it's great the way they lay the foundation for that sort of respect that the two of them have for each other, even as their circumstances get very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
Wait! I have to make this. While we're talking about the Citadel, like I don't know. I don't remember the character's name, but like the villain of these episodes. Yeah.
The Warden.
Okay, like, so it wasn't just me, right? That was a Christopher Walken impersonation, right?
I did not get that. I have to go back and watch it now.
Go back and listen to it. I swear. It sounds like the actor's doing a Christopher Walken.
Esque.
Battle droids. Give the Jedi. I don't do a very good Christopher Walken, but still.
So maybe it was just me. I don't know. But yeah, I thought he was fun. They did a good job with that, and
they didn't make it easy on him. This Citadel was hard to crack. The plan fell apart immediately. What is it? No plan lasts past the first engagement with the enemy.
Yeah.
And just time and time again, here they are being like Ahsoka doing, ingenuity, like, hey, let's do this. I can do this. I can crawl through this vent. Let's get around. We'll split the party. You never split the party, right? Well, I guess sometimes you have to. So
it's like, yeah, at that point, I'm like, shut up, Tarkin.
I wanted to, like, somebody please punt this guy into one of these lava pits. But I kind of got a lot of, like, when toward the end of those episodes, the scenes where they are fighting over the basically the open core, weeping core of the planet. I got a lot of Mustafar vibes. I don't know about.
Yes. Yeah, I
Got
very
a
much
lot of
thought
those.
about that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is like heavy.
Especially
foreshadowing.
when they're lowering Master PL into the actual lava, and it's
Yeah.
like that's not foreshadowing anything.
Okay, I just looked it up. By the way, the character is called Osi Sobek.
So bad.
He was voiced by James Arnold Taylor, and according to Taylor, his voice is a combination of Christopher Walken and Al Pacino.
Okay.
Tracks. That tracks.
So, like, while I may not have heard it, like it was intended to be there. So,
Well, he has such a distinctive speech pattern, so it's like if you're taking inspiration from that, it's I definitely noticed that. So I'm glad to see that actually was the intention. It'd be funny if like he was like, no, I wasn't meaning to do that. I just just randomly came out that way.
I just talk like this. Yeah.
But yeah, no, and coming back around to what we were saying earlier, the second episode of this arc ends with Echo getting caught in that explosion, and especially since this season started off with the Camino episodes with Domino Squad, and
Here's Echo.
yeah, it's I love those clones. And jumping back to the Camino episodes, I'm sure you guys probably picked up on I like that they throw out the term Bad Batch.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that.
I did like my ears pricked up when I heard that.
What was that about a Bad Batch?
Yeah, so yeah, that has like that figures in a little bit into that. Not gonna say anything, but I love the way that Filoni decided to carry that idea forward. Where in season 7 he really explores like what does it look like if you get some really out there clones that are take their uniqueness to another level.
Yeah.
And now we'll be exploring that concept as a full show as well. So.
Oh, kitty. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the legacy of 99 is going to be going forward.
Yeah, and for those final episodes, Ahsoka really steps up, yes. and we even get Chewbacca.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that one.
There's I've been on this the whole time. They really had an episode of a kid show, of a children's program, where aliens were hunting children for sport.
Yep.
And I'm just like, really?
Yeah, and important to note that back when this show was being made, it was on Cartoon Network, and it was also made by Warner Brothers. Well, not made by Warner Brothers, but distributed through Warner Brothers. So these were the days before Disney owning Star Wars, and you can really tell because I don't think that this show would have gotten made in the first place in this way if Disney had owned it. They let I think they're now letting Filoni do that with like the last season of Clone Wars, and we'll see as far as the Bad Batch goes. I would assume you'd have to keep that at the same level, but if you look at their shows like Rebels and especially Star Wars Resistance, those are much more in the mold of like what is okay as far as Disney is concerned. Clone Wars really went to some dark places for a kid's show.
Yeah, it's getting kind of gray.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was, I mean, it may get darker later, I don't know, but Ahsoka really
dark though.
Kind of in the belly of the beast there for a minute, you know?
Like
she had no one to depend on but herself. She had to rise above. There's kids dying.
Yeah, child murder.
Oh, you know, and these younglings are like much lower, you know, they were not as far into their training as Ahsoka was, and they're still relatively young. So, you know, these kids have been there for how long? You know, abandoned. Children abandoned.
Well, again, like, how did they get there? They were probably in
Captured on a field trip.
yeah,
that
and
was
like
the
the
gist
Jedi that was with them was probably killed
I'm quite sure.
outright. You know.
Yeah. Now they won't hunt. You know, these Trandoshans won't hunt a full-on Jedi. You know,
Yeah, they'll just
they
blast
prefer
them.
Padawans.
Yeah, they'll probably blast a Jedi, you know, who's
Mhm.
trying to protect younglings. But you're right; they don't want to do the way they hunt because they do tend to like hunt in a way that's a little bit more exposed for them. But yeah, they had to come across these younglings somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
God, it's and just the very notion of you know, I'm gonna get you. How dare you killed my son? It's like, dude, you're hunting them down.
Right, you're hunting your children. Like, you can hate them all you want. It's
yeah. I was not sad to see him getting taken out. I'm sorry, Ahsoka. Sorry you had to do that, but I'm not sorry to see him go.
But
yeah,
like, there's a difference between what she does at the end of the episode, which is basically, you know, he charges at her again, and she force pushes him, and he goes over the edge. It's different from what she says to the girl in the previous episode, which is, "Don't kill him out of hate."
Right.
Which is like, you know, force choking and all that. So I do feel like, yeah, she does actually take a life, but she was left no other choice. It's, you know, it was definitely an issue of survival at that point. But it's still a big moment. And like I said earlier, you can feel that kind of registering with her. I'm not sure if you said she kills a couple times in the season, Stephen. I'm trying to think, what were the other?
I feel like
because that's treated as quite a big moment.
It is, and maybe I'm thinking of, you know, I'm gonna look through the list of episodes to see if I can figure it out.
Oh well, she does kill the guy in the Citadel episodes who.
That's probably what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, who is it? O.C. Sobek? Yeah. So that, yeah, in the closing episodes of the season, she kills two different people.
Yeah.
And that's what Tarkin approves of. That violence and death. You know.
Well, and the thing is, again, I hate trying to find a good way to condone violence, but I can't judge her too harshly for being in that situation where she's pushed to that extreme. I just hate the idea that a 16-year-old young woman is placed in a position where she is the one to have to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's the type of thing. She's still so young and impressionable. It's going to shape the way she sees herself and the world around her.
Right. I mean,
especially for an order that's supposed to be peacekeepers. You know, they're not actually supposed to be like out on a battlefield, you know, killing people. That's not really what the order is about. So it is rather shocking that on top of that, they decide, well, we need every possible person out on the battlefield. So let's go ahead and have the younglings, you know, and as well as the Padawans, you know, take part in that as well.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, like, but I'm glad this show, because you're right, they played that with gravity to it, and it should have gravity to it, not just for the story in general, but for the character of Ahsoka to feel the gravity of that, and for that to be a moment where we understand that she is experiencing something new, and that she is processing a new way of looking at herself.
Right. She's basically growing up in war. You know, she was this young Padawan. She's a young lady, and all she's known of is fighting and having to make these decisions. You do see one or are there? She makes friends with another young Padawan earlier, and their experiences seem to be very different. Like her master tries to keep her. They do more like spy type. They're not like heavy into battle or what have you. They're more into intrigue. But these Padawans are being put right in the forefront of danger, just right beside their masters.
Yeah. I also have to take note of the fact that Ahsoka gets through, this whole ordeal without the use of, her lightsabers, which I think is pretty damn cool. That really shows how proficient she's becoming in her skills, and I just love that ending with that moment between her and Anakin, and where he's blaming himself for not doing more and not keeping an eye on her.
To do.
Yeah, and the fact that she recognizes that it was his teaching, and so she's taking in the good that Anakin has taught her, and I think that's one of the great things about Ahsoka as a character, is we get to see the goodness of Anakin and her taking on those elements, and I think that's part of why we even like Anakin so much, because I think Ahsoka, because she's sort of a reflection of his good qualities versus the dark path that he's gonna go down.
And this is just another instance where Ahsoka is asserting leadership skills, where she the young people on Mandalore, and here she's got another team of younglings that she's imparting what she's learned, to them, like the lessons that she's learned. As you said, when the leader of the group was force choking the Trandoshan, and she's like, don't give in to your anger, don't do that. She's just imparting wisdom. The student is becoming a teacher, so that's just good to see that she's coming into her own like that. She's learned the lessons, and she's she's sharing the lessons that she's learned with the next generation.
Yeah, and actually, I think it's I was saying that she's taking the good lessons from Anakin, but I think the truth is she's also taking lessons from Obi-Wan. It's those are her two.
And Poku and Padme.
Yeah,
she's inspiring these
willing
kids.
To learn, no matter what teacher is there.
She's inspiring these kids not to give up. That they if they want to survive, they have to fight. They have to do what's right. They can't just keep hiding. You can't just hide from your problems. And expect them to go away. It's just eventually they're just gonna.
Are you sure? Because I've been trying that for a while. They haven't gone away yet, but
no, they don't.
Maybe if
go
I
away.
get tight a little bit longer, they'll eventually go away. No, you don't think so?
Okay.
Okay.
No. Eventually, the loan comes due.
So what are you guys looking forward to coming up?
Darth Maul. I really need the rest of Ahsoka's story now too. I'm probably not going to just binge the rest of the show right now. I've got other things going on, but I need the rest of Ahsoka's story, and then I Darth Maul with Savage Opress and Asajj Ventress, like that could be a team up 3-way that blows my hair back. Let's just say, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great.
Oh, I have things to say about
Maul. Well, let me find out the hard way.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing a reappearance in future episodes of Darth Maul.
I'm beginning to think that I don't know how to change names is a Potter dummy account. Except I've known I don't know how to change names longer than I've known Potter. So
it's a long con.
It is a long con. Like excellent trolling from both of you today, by the way, I must say.
Yep, kudos. I'm also looking forward to the clones going forward, getting to know, maybe not, I don't know if we're going to get to know more, but to dive into their stories.
Well, like I said before, the clones have, there's, great stuff throughout, but they've got an especially great 4-episode arc in season 4.
Arc soldier.
The arc trooper arc.
Like story arc, yeah. But yeah, it's and that's great because anytime we get something centered around Rex, it is really great. And like I said, it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure Fives is heavily involved as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting for you guys to get to that stuff. And yeah, God, season 4 is so good.
Yeah, I'm probably
got all the building blocks. We got all the building blocks in place, and I'm just ready for all these stories to go forward.
Yeah, but it's funny, and this isn't really it's technically a spoiler, but not about anything important. It's gonna be kind of humorous. You've got all these major gravity shifting storylines, and then when you get to season 5, right smack dab in the middle of the season is a 4-episode arc about a group of droids just on some mission, and it's and of course when somebody asked George what his favorite episodes of Clone Wars were, he was like, I really like the droid episodes, and everybody's like, oh, George.
Hold on a second. Before we're done, this is something I intended to bring up. The C-3PO R2-D2 escapade where they get captured, and
the out-of-sequence
something that's already paid off, because it was Cad Bane, right?
Yeah.
And he got the floor plans of the Senate. Now so that's something that's from season 1, right?
Because the episode that chronologically runs after that is the finale of season 1, which was where they went. It took a bunch of senators hostage, and they freed Zero the Hutt, which then leads into the next episode of this season. So yeah. Sorry, I'm still cracking up about Zero. I actually really enjoyed that episode.
Great. I was really sad they killed him off, because I'm I love the way he talks.
And then when
about that character,
when he goes to see his mother.
Oh, his mother! Oh my Lord! Oh my.
So you finally come back.
Yeah, he's got
kind of got vibes from The Water Boy about Bobby Boucher and Mama. I just women are the devil. I did. I loved it. And just sitting in a swamp,
and
as ridiculous as that character is, and I'm seeing the the heads of the 5 Hutt families, and I'm just kind of rolling my eyes, going, "How obvious are you trying to be here?" But like, it's fine. It's fine. But Zero's voice is just like you don't expect it the first time you hear it, but it's whoever does the voice for Zero is so consistent with it. Like they just nailed it. I think. I think just it works because he's also like so flamboyant. Like sex and sexuality is not something that Star Wars has tackled very often or very much or probably very well. But I'm like, you missed your real opportunity to make him gay. Well, maybe I'm glad they didn't because he would have been almost stereotypically like that, which is why they gave him Sice Noodles as a girlfriend, which, by the way, gross. that romance between the two of them.
Oh, those lips, Steven. Those lips.
And the voice they gave her, I'm just like, oh, God. But yeah, Zero was, I love Zero as a character. Like, I loved the way he was portrayed. The voice was a huge part of that, you know?
And see, this is the thing about the show is like, first, there's stuff that you completely roll your eyes at and think is ridiculous. And then as time goes on, you really warm to some of the more ridiculous elements of the show. Like, I have to say, I actually really love the battle droids. Like, I remember when the prequel films were out, it's like, God, these things are just so stupid. But like in Clone Wars, it's kind of the point that they're dim-witted, and it's just kind of fun to, you know, to watch their little back and forth with each other. But but yeah, I do want to say about the Zero the Hutt episodes. They also brought in a character who was, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was from the expanded universe, and they opted to bring him in, who's Quinlan Voss.
Yeah.
And I love the back and forth have.
Okay. By the way, Zero was intended to sound like Truman Capote. So, who is a well-known gay icon, so I was not too far off. Okay. You're right. I don't know. It does. It does tackle incestual, like sex and sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
But,
okay, so
I love that we finished this off talking about Zero the Hutt.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us.
He will not be returning.
But yeah, I'm really glad you guys enjoyed this season.
I'm really glad I did too. Like, it's not that I didn't enjoy the first 2 seasons, it's that I wasn't very passionate about them, you know?
Yeah.
Like they didn't, but something about, especially the second half of the season, just, you know, it pushed all the right buttons for me, and I really liked it. I really liked the way they started to do arcs instead of like single episode stories. So they, you know, the narratives became more complex, the themes became more complex growing out of that. So yeah, looking forward to season 4.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried because if you guys like maybe weren't so wowed by, in particular, the second half of this season, I'm just a bit worried about, you know, if you would ever really get into it. But now I think I can say you guys are going to love what's coming up.
I even like that they brought in like all of these underworld characters, you know, other than the Hutts that we're familiar with, but you know, Cad Bane and Aura Singh, the assassin. Oh yeah. I'm hoping to see, you know, more of that, and you know these and you know we're going to get Darth Maul in later episodes, but yeah, the steamy underbelly of, you know, what's going on in the empires or the Republic. The Republic is going to be pretty cool to see too.
Yeah.
God.
Danny.
No.
The thing is, like, I would do a review of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but not Big Top Pee-wee. Come on. That would be awesome. I would love to see that as well, Tony. Yeah. So guys, it is 8 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. That's a 2-hour live stream. My little timekeeper right there says 2 hours now, actually. So yeah, thanks everyone who joined us. I'm done. I gotta go find some food and stuff, But I really do want to thank everybody who's here live. We love you guys who show up week in, week out to keep us supported. Thanks so much. For those of you who watch this later, we appreciate you too, just like 90% as much as we appreciate the people that are here live. Mostly as much, but not quite. So yeah, just as a real quick, remember, Nessie's got a stream Wednesday. What time?
5 p.m. Eastern.
5 p.m. Eastern. I will not be there. I will be at work, unfortunately. Starting a new job this week, and I'm not going to be able to catch most afternoon streams. But Bleep Ahoy with Kelly, aka Jaded Redhead, or Jaded Redhead, as I call her sometimes.
Or Undead Redhead, whichever way you want.
Undead Redhead, I like that. That's good stuff. John, you just launched.
Yes. And the podcast Cinematic Realms has been launched. You can go check out our first episode on Spotify or Anchor, and hopefully it'll be up at other places soon.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube. And we're going to be recording our next episode this coming Tuesday. It'll be about the Wizard of Oz. So look for that soon.
That was really filling up the chat there. It's funny. Yeah. So again, there's a stream this week on Nessie's channel. I guess on Saturdays you're going to be releasing episodes of Cinematic Realms. So yeah, looking forward to that. Come back next week for Falcon and Winter Soldier conversation, and then the week after that, 100th episode special. You want to come win free stuff, so come and watch us live. And yeah. After that, I'm not sure what we're doing after that, but people have been asking me to make some D&D content for a while now, so yeah, probably get on some D&D stuff.
Which is fun.
It is fun.
It teaches your kids role playing and math.
So should we start doing a thing where anytime we want Kelly's attention, we should just say bleep ahoy.
Bleep
yeah.
ahoy.
Look, we want her to stay. I'm not trying to run her off. So like I'm just sticking to the one way of trolling her, which is the pronunciation of her name. Anyway, yeah. Thanks everyone. We'll see y'all next week. And you know what it is. Until next time, peace and be excellent to each other.